Our world continues to change and push us in ways we have not been challenged before. On this show, we talk about these challenges, how to be aware of them, face them, and overcome them in your life. This is David Waldas, creator of the Aligned Living System.
And I'm Nick Musica, Aligned Living Coach. Welcome to the Aligned Living System podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Aligned Living System podcast. This is David Waldas here with Nick Musica. Nick and I were just chatting beforehand, kind of scanning all the possibilities of what we could be talking about. And we're just, coming out on the backside of the fires. So the fires episode, dealing with, I forget what it's called, something along the lines of dealing with emergency situations or something like that. We started talking about the new tools for aligned living that have come out in the last 6 months, and quite a few of them more recently, really leading right up to these LA fires is kind of when the last ones came in. And there's always incredible synchronicities. There's incredible, really to me, feels like design. And so, as many of you know, the original download came out in 2016, which was over 8 years ago now, 8.5 years ago. And now we're looking at in the last 6 months, there's been all these updates. And so to kind of give it some scope, it's of what that means. And the 10-week program is generally how people start working with aligned living. The second half of that, the last 5 weeks, are almost all new material. And it's pretty fascinating that they were all focused on feeling safe inside yourself, bring your locus of control, your sense of your awareness into a very specific space around you, and putting all of your influence into that space and not getting sucked into anything on the outside of that, recognizing that while you're having massive influence, you're changing everything by changing right here. At the moment that you start to expand out beyond that with your awareness, you're just getting, diluted. You're basically, all of your energy goes into one place and not another. And, we get sucked into the negative, and we also get sucked on the positive, and the regular stabilized, grounded stuff doesn't happen when we do that. And so really fascinating. Curious to see where we end up going with this conversation, but welcome, Nick. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, David. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm feeling really grounded. I'm feeling locked in inside myself.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Like, so we're the wind died down 2 days ago, I guess. And it was interesting. I stopped for gas, and I could barely get into the gas station. I was like, what is going on? And there's all these people filling up gas for their generators. And I realized there's still a whole swath of people not far from me that didn't have power 2 days ago still. And, it was, I think, turned off just so that more fires aren't getting started, if that's in actuality what's caused any of them. But it was really interesting just feeling their anxiety and their tension. They're trying to get their, gas jugs filled as quick as possible and get out. And like there was this incredible urgency. And I was like, wow, there's nothing like contrast of experience to help us understand how far, or how effective these tools are, or how, we're able to navigate stuff in a different way than those around us if they're not, able to stabilize internally in that same way. And it really struck me just feeling and seeing myself, 8 years ago, that would have been me, like trying to like, I got to get a generator and I got to get this, versus like, okay, we're going to sit around the fireplace and we're going to relax and we're going to, basically engage with life as life is presenting to us right now, rather than feeling like we need to normalize everything. Quick, normalize it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the generators are good for keeping the refrigerator going, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But also is, like taking some freezer ice blocks out of the fridge.
Yeah.
I use my van and put the perishable stuff in the fridge in my van.
Yeah.
And again, I know not everybody has that at their access, but it was, just the simplicity of letting things unfold. And I'm not saying, there's a better way, there's a worse way. I'm identifying with it. Like it's really interesting to me to have the tools to stabilize and create a safer place inside, because the moment we have a safer place inside, we maintain our creativity. We the simplicity of solutions, the simplicity of how we can engage in opportunities or experiences, even if they're opportunities to go sideways, it just changes instantly, right? It's a different experience of being in the same situation.
Yeah. And in this case, it sounds like it's less about the action and more about the intention behind the action. Right.
Yeah, and the place that you're in while it's happening, right?
Say more about that.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I actually have examples of it, right? Like, I used to live in Colorado in the mountains and got evacuated, and I was all, in that spin, like grabbing stuff and, like trying to get everything just right, like going to the shelters, like, like locking in on the news, watching every minute of it versus the idea of what do I need to know? How do I maintain my internal stabilization? How do I create a safe, solid experience where I can make good, solid, and intentional decisions from? Like I've had both experiences. And granted, this one wasn't breathing down my throat like the one was in Colorado, but it was still, a sense of, oh, like when I stabilize, it's a very different experience.
Yeah. We were watching the news here for a couple of days straight, but the news for the fires, like what's going on and how far is it spreading, and you're up in there, and we have a few other friends who are in the area who may or may not have been impacted, and so just trying to understand like what it all means, and also is it going to pop something up down here at the same time, right? And so it was information gathering at first, but then the news does what the news does.
It's so good, good at what it does.
And so it'll keep on repeating. It's like the Weather Channel. It's like the same thing every 5 minutes, but also it'll start to incorporate or have other of the same things coming in those 5 minutes that are not related to what you want to watch. And I realized at some point, I'm not information gathering anymore. I'm consuming.
You're taking the ride.
Garbage. Yeah, like I'm consuming garbage, information garbage. It's no different at this point than eating. Is now a good time to mention the sponsor that we want? Sort of McDonald's, which is happy to take the sponsor. Also, don't eat there. So like it's not much different than putting that garbage in your body and then feeling awful. The news with how it says what it says and what it's talking about, just sort of paints into a not feel good corner. So after the information was finished digesting, I don't know how long it was, but I, found myself listening to and watching the equivalent of McDonald's information. It just wasn't great. And then I felt like an emotional reaction to it. If I turned this shit off,
yeah,
got what I needed.
Yourself.
Yeah, just angry at the TV. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing. Like as I'm sharing, my experience with it, I've also talked to a lot of clients who similar kind of thing where they said, their experience was be able to go to utilize those tools to go inside and go, oh, okay, I can feel safe here. Maybe there's other people in my household who don't feel safe and they be running around and I need to manage that. But also my safety and my stability helps me stay present and helps me help them. And that to me is one of the biggest things about what we're doing is, yes, this is about our experience. But when we start to stabilize and create that ability to have that kind of influence, then the next question is like, now that other people aren't as contagious, now that I'm not under the same level of, perceived threat or basically compromised faculties, compromised creativity, compromised problem solving, now I can actually support other people. And these times that we're in, like it's if the second half of 2024 didn't show us anything, the beginning of 2025 hasn't shown us anything yet. Like it's like these are going to be messy. Like these are messy times. Like there's a lot asked of us from an emotional, energetic, stabilized nervous system place. And the more control we have over that, the more ability we have to stabilize it. And we've talked a lot about this in terms of frequency. Like there's this new frequency on this planet. It's our job to stabilize in it and to broadcast it and to have this influence. And that's one way of looking at it. Or we can get much more practical in how we've known things and say, like, there's a lot of shit that's causing people to freak out. And of course there is. Are we going to be running around freaking out too? Or are we going to stabilize and help other people stabilize so that we can navigate it? Because there's a lot to navigate right now, and there will be a lot to navigate. And when we can do it from a place where we can have a relaxed nervous system and a clear mind and the ability to be around other people that are not without it being contagious, in fact, for us to be the influencer, that changes everything. Yeah. And so to me, that yes, it's about what we're experiencing internally, but it's also about a service that we're here to provide of, like, as we engage with the world, The world needs people to be stabilizing the it's okay energy. Like this, we can navigate this. And there's not much of that happening on the planet. That's not the leadership that we're seeing.
No, it's not. Yeah. So do what you can from a grounded place is what I'm hearing, instead of running around like your hair's on fire when the community
Maybe
down the
not the
street
best
maybe.
analogy.
Yeah. But you don't have to take that on as your own operating system. It's
And there's horrible stories coming out of this, like there's horrible experiences coming out of this. And so to be standing very near those, and knowing that we still need to keep our ship locked in and solid, and the influence it has. And, I've watched it like with people that are like starting to get sucked in, like they get the opportunity to pop back out again and rewrite their ships. And it's, it's, I don't know, I just keep getting this feeling of the more of us that are able to do that, to stabilize that internal space, it's not about us as much as it is. Obviously it is, but it's even more so about the collective and how we're affecting them, and how we're affecting the people around us. And, when we're, and it's such an ironic thing to think, when I focus on the 30 yards around me, like that has like such far reaching influence. And when we use, and that's what the news does, right? The news takes the whole world's opportunities of bait, the ways that we can get hijacked from our own stability, and brings them to us. And when our awareness is looking over the whole world and all the awfulness that's happening and all the, chaos, and tapping into that, like, do you think we stand a chance of stabilizing ourselves right here, right now? And well, we still need to know, we need to make decisions and be supportive and all these things, that when we tap into all of that, when we think that we need to be engaged in things that are more bait than we can handle, it just doesn't serve. And that's a conversation that's come up a lot with clients where they, probably empathic clients where they've always been so focused on causes and getting involved. And a lot of that has been like protests, or like always wanted to talk about, can you believe this? And can you believe that? Of the idea of letting go of that and go, you know what, I'm actually contributing to the spin by doing that. And it's been really interesting to see more and more clients that was one of their main operating systems, to go, this doesn't seem interesting to me. And in fact, it seems ineffective or even negatively effective. Yeah. And it's finally landing inside me in a kind of a nervous system way, where it's just like that's a bad choice for me now. Where before it felt like how I was trying to save the world. Now it feels like I'm contributing to the problem. And it's so ironic. It's so hard to wrap our head around. And I remember talking to clients, they're like, I get what you're saying, but, and then now these clients, like whatever has been shifting lately, they're just like, I'm just not interested in playing that game anymore. I'm not contributing to the spin, into the spiral, into the, inferno. Like I am actually holding the space that just breaks that apart. It doesn't play along.
Yeah. More than one way to approach the situation.
Yeah. And a new way, and for it's what feels, this is so interesting to me too, is like when we talk about what feels right, and that's really what we end up doing, is we go, well, this feels right. And so this is why I'm going to do it. So I feel like I need to go make these phone calls, or I need to go talk to everybody I can about this thing that I think is wrong, or I need to, and when that feels right, like even if we, they intellectually go, I know I'm getting all spun up, I know, but when it feels right, it's what we do. But if something else feels right, and go, you know what? It feels right for me to stabilize now. That's what feels right to me. And, when we can bring that, and like, it's so interesting to watch what feels right, what feels, instinctively like this is what I want to do, shifting. I think it's such a clear indicator that we're in very different times, when people that's all they've ever wanted to do, because it felt like this is my mission, and they're going, I'm not doing that anymore. It's not helping. In fact, it's hurting.
Yeah. So lots of opportunity for change.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's what all this provides, right? And and it's not easy either, because we sit in it and go, gosh, like, what does this mean? Like, what does this mean when my friends want to talk about how awful things are and I don't? What does this mean when, I'm in, like, I don't feel like going to that party anymore because everybody's going to be, can you believe this? Can you believe that? I don't, and it's, growing pains, I guess, it is, I think we've all experienced it at different levels, where maybe we've moved to a different type of being inside of ourselves, a different way of seeing things. And the groups that we were hanging out with, like, maybe no matter how much we love them and care about them, maybe it's just become less appealing. And and we just allocate our time a little differently, or we do specific things with those groups and those people, because what we were doing, it just doesn't work for us anymore.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, dramatic shifts are happening, and it's not just in the world, it's inside of so many people, and a different level of effectiveness.
Yes. And we can expect more. So now's a good time to start the practice. I think.
Well, I mean, that's the other part. I think I've shared about this on here too, is like, I talked about this for years, and maybe I'd talk to 100 people about it, and 2 people would be like, that's pretty interesting. And now when I talk about it, it's like the 98% of the people I talk to are like, wow, that, like, this really resonates with me. And it's about this time right now. And so it's really fun to see all these people just coming in and going, yeah, I need these tools. And particularly it's funny with empaths. I was talking to a group of empaths the other day, and this came up as I was watching them go, oh my God, yes, I need to really lock into myself, because I keep getting hijacked, I keep getting drawn into this. And remembering back to 2016 when I first started teaching this, and so many people I would try to present it to, they're like, you're saying being an empath is bad? I'm like, no, not at all. I'm saying that it's an incredible gift, but we can't keep getting hijacked by everybody else's emotions with it. And they're like, but that's like, I'm not getting hijacked. I care about these people. I want to be in, and like, they just couldn't wrap their heads around the idea that they could support people without it taking over their world, that they could be loving and caring without having the exact same emotion that the person they're being loving and caring for has, that they could have their experience and that person could have their experience. Like, and get without the tools, like, it's almost impossible to do. But theoretically, it was really hard for them to understand. Like, why would I want that? Like, this is my gift. This is what I live for.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, I can't remember the last time I talked to an empath that was like, yeah, like, this is my gift. I'm supposed to feel how the person next to me feels so that I can help them. They're all like, I cannot feel the way the person next to me feels, because there's no way I can help them. I can't even help myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's exciting to see that, again, what feels right. And, that innate part of us that just knows, like, yeah, this is what I need. And that's all part of these shifts that are happening now too. And so it's this idea that the meek shall inherit the earth. Well, those of us that are empaths, we've been the meek. We've been the ones that have been influenced and been pushed around by everybody else's emotions. And, we're inheriting the earth now. And it's actually our turn to stabilize and go, all right, now we get to have the most influence, as opposed to be the most influenced, even though we fought against it the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah.
Great. Yeah. So for folks who need a place to start,
mm-hmm.
well, what would you say? I mean, it's a hard time, right? And this is
it is
it's a very hard time for folks.
Yeah, I mean, we just started a 10-week program, and I've got a few other people that are ready to get going with the next one. And so, if people are interested to get themselves on the waiting list, there's a contact page on the website on davidwaldas.com where they can just send their information in and say, I want to be in the next group.
Great.
Because we'll probably be starting that fairly quick, because there's, again, a whole nother influx of people. And to me, it's exciting to see all these people that are ready to do this and excited about doing it. It's kind of harsh because it's the circumstances that are driving this, but it's also the shift on the planet. It's like, it's all happening simultaneously. But people are, anybody I'm talking to now, when we sit down and go through the details of it, they're like, that's what I need. I'm like, well, awesome. This is built for now. And so, if you're feeling that, if you're going, gosh, like, I am really struggling to stabilize inside myself in all this chaos. I'm not sure how to support myself or the people around me. I feel so much and I want to do something. But I don't want to be in the blender. I don't want to be stirring things up more and more. I want to be stabilizing things. And maybe you've never known yourself that way, which is a very interesting part of this, because there's so many people that I'm working with that say they've never known themselves that way. That, like, it just hasn't been available to them. It was the same for me before I got the download in 2016. Mm-hmm. I always wanted that, but didn't know how to achieve it. Didn't know how to find that inside myself. And the simplicity of it just makes it available. Like,
sure.
It's too crazy of a time for us to be not grounded inside ourselves enough to weather it. We need it.
There's a whole lot of weathering going on right now.
There's not a parka thick enough, a rain jacket thick enough to...
No. Well, I walk inside to my place, it's still raining. I'm like, fuck.
Why is it raining inside?
Just follows you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so interesting stuff. So yeah, I mean, the idea of going back to basics and why is it that we're doing this? As much as it's for our own sanity, like it's taken another level. And I think that's one of the cool things about empaths is most of us have been so aware of other people that so much of our drive has been to support others. So many of the decisions we make, so many of the actions we take, so much of our way of being has been about supporting others. And we're at a time where so many empaths are just like, I can't even support myself. And so to be able to support ourselves and others at the same time, I think there's something massively appealing about that. And again, what feels right now?
Yeah.
And what's needed. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Great.
So, like I'm still doing a little bit of one-to-ones, but I'm moving more towards group. And, like I've always felt like that day would come where more people would need that because you can only reach so many people working one-to-one. And
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be 8 years ago, but it's now, And so
Right on time.
right on time, right on divine time. David time didn't really matter, but divine time says now. And so, it is exciting from that perspective. And so, like I said, I'm doing a little bit of one-to-one, but I'm, if that's something, that is available, but mostly group stuff. And it's powerful to do in a group because you're watching the person next to you have the same shifts, and it just makes it that much more solid and real and grounded when you're seeing people on both sides of you going, oh, me too. And that just changed for me. And now I'm locked in, and now I'm feeling solid.
Yeah. In real time for yourself and for others.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, makes it real. Awesome. Yeah. Well, anything else you have to add, Nick, before we wrap the call up today?
I think we did pretty well. I think the only thing to cover is that sponsorship. If you guys want to call, put a number in the show notes. Give us a buzz.
Yeah, I think if things get any more hectic, Nick's going to be there with a bathrobe and a quarter pounder with cheese and some fries going.
Yeah. I definitely won't share the picture I took of myself earlier. It definitely won't.
Is that a shake?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Yes, I got it supersized just this once.
Yeah. Yep. Nick's love affair with McDonald's continues.
Yes.
Good. Awesome. Sounds great. So yeah, we'd love to be of support. It is what this is all about, and this is what these times are about. So yeah, please do reach out. We'll be, if you're, go ahead and get on our mailing list too, because whenever we start the next program, there's always, stuff we're sending out, and, there's always different, free things that we're sending out as well too. So yeah, so thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to connecting again soon. See y'all next week. We hope you enjoyed listening to today's podcast. And if you did, please subscribe so you can catch the next episode. If you want to learn more about the Aligned Living System and how it could support you in your life, check out davidwaldas.com.